Hello everyone, welcome to the Armageddon Championship Series 2023. I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams and I'm together with the amazing international master Jovanka Huska, and this is the show that is faster and more dangerous than a runaway tiger.
I tried to join in the action there, Simon. And talking about action, this is the second day of our fourth and final qualifier. It's the Europe and Africa tournament. And yesterday, it all kicked off with a marvelous start. We had nail-biting finishes. And let's have a look at yesterday's recap. The first day of the Europe and Africa regional qualifier began with a top match between British number one Michael Adams and Poland's top player Jan Krzysztof Duda. The first game started with Adams opening quietly, but Duda handled the tension well to easily secure a draw. In the second game, Duda looked like he was coasting, but the game became chaotic after Duda blundered. A mutual blunder from Adams meant that Duda scored the point and took the match.
The second match of the day saw the all-German clash between Vincent Keimer and Alexander Donchenko. In the first game, Donchenko looked like he was doing well until he blundered and Vincent took the 1-0 lead. The second game also looked to be going in Donchenko's favour until he lost on time, a rather unheard of thing at this level, meaning Vincent Keimer goes through to the next round.
This is Armageddon Championship Series 2023, the ultimate chess showdown of the year. The first three tournaments have already finished. The Americas with finalists Wesley So and Sam Shankland. Asia and Oceania with winners Nordibek Abdusattorov and Gukesh. And a special qualifying stage, Women's Week, where Bibisara Asalbaeva and Hampi Kineru showed their best. And this week, our fourth tournament, Europe and Africa Regional Series.
8 of the strongest players compete for a spot in the grand final with a chance to win the Armageddon Championship. All our events are broadcast live from the World Chess Club Berlin on Unter den Linden. This is make or break. Who will make the cut and go through? Don't go anywhere. This is Armageddon. Very exciting lineup. We have some brilliant players, and let's take a deeper look at some of those players in this European and African series.
Yeah, I mean, just take a look at some of those big names in the chess world. Jan Krzysztof Duda, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and then we have Richard Rapport, just to name a few, as well as 18-year-old Vincent Keimer. And not to mention that there were two online qualifiers, Matthias Blubaum and Alexander Donchenko. Wow, some big names in the chess world competing here. And we do have to mention our partners. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
Yes, and we should now take a look just at the current situation of the tournament, and we call this the bracket of doom. We have the upper half and the lower half, and remember, this is a double elimination event, so if you lose one match you get a second chance, and we can see the two players going through there. And today's matches, well, the first one is mouth-watering and the second one even more so, I would say. It's going to be a very exciting day.
Yeah, and take a look at some of those names. Richard Rapport playing against Jordan van Foreest. And then we have Matthias Blubaum, European champion, playing off against someone who's been the world blitz champion, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave.
That's right, and we can now just do a deep dive into the first match. And you see the first match of the day is this, two very, very exciting and imaginative players. So this is going to be, well, one hell of a match here with Ricard versus Jordan.
Yes, and talking about Richard Rapport, 27 years old, born in Hungary, played for Hungary for a long time, but now represents Romania. And check this out, became a grandmaster at 13 years old. He won the Grand Prix, which meant that he qualified for the 2022 candidates. And as well as that, he's also been winner of the 2013 European Rapid Chess Championship. He's also one of the most creative players around and has also been a famous second. Let's hear more from Richard in his own words.
I am Richard Rapport. I am from Hungary, currently representing Romania, and I am 27 years old. I got introduced to the game of chess at about 4 years old, and later played my first tournament, I believe, when I was 9 years old. And I spent most of my childhood, sitting over a board looking at chess. And yeah, it took a lot of sacrifices, but also it kind of instantly gives you a pass. So it's a choice that you don't, as a kid, you can't really make, and it's made for you by your parents or parent. And then later on you come to appreciate this choice, or you come to regret this choice, So it kind of happened with me, I believe, as well. To me, chess up to today is a beautiful game, so it still fascinates me in some levels. So when someone tells you, you can do for the rest of your life and you can make a decent living or whatever, and you might be the best or one of the best in the world in this, and this is all you will do. Of course it sounds amazing, yeah, and they proposed to me that I could have my life in chess.
What a player he is, and probably one of the coolest looking players around. I reckon he'd be in a rock band if he wasn't playing chess there. But his opponent is also one cool customer. We have Jordan van Foreest, and Jordan is only 24 years old. He was a grandmaster at 16, and maybe his most famous win was winning what was called the Wimbledon of chess, which was Weekendsie. He's been Dutch chess champion, and he's really such an interesting player. He always comes up with new and exciting ideas, and I expect we're going to see a lot of them today. Let's hear more about Jordan in his own words.
My name is Jordan van Foreest, 24 years old. I'm from the Netherlands. I've been playing chess since the age of 6 years old, when my father told me the rules. And I would say I really started to pursue a chess career, or started to get into it, when I by accident won the Dutch Open Youth Championships under 10. It was my first success, and I went on to play a lot of chess after that. I remember when my father told me the rules, he gave me a book, and he said that if you complete the book, we will have a typical Dutch drink, a chocolate milk, in a cafe. And somehow for me that was like the reason to really finish the book as quickly as possible. And I learned the rules basically by myself, played some games with my father, and yeah, I got the prize.
Well, this is quite the matchup. Two of the most creative players on the planet. This is what we are waiting for. And let's have a look at what the two players will be playing. First up, they will be playing 2 games of blitz at 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And if the match is tied, everything will be decided by the crowd favorite,
Armageddon. And Armageddon will happen if it's 1-1 after those 2 games. So there's such quick matches where white has 5 minutes, black has 4, but white has to win that matchup. We're only 23 seconds away now from the start. Another very important person is our arbiter, Anastasia, who makes sure that there's no disputes and she can clear everything up. 12 seconds now, Ivanka.
12 seconds, and usually we see the players serious and focused, and here we actually just saw the players in discussion. Were they analysing something? And anyhow, there the players are now in the mood. You can see handshake, and we are off. And the only thing I'm going to say about these openings is expect the unexpected, and sure enough, Richard opens with the bishop's opening.
Yes, and these two, like we have mentioned, play very unconventional and exciting chess. We see Richard bringing his queen out quite early. This is something you don't often see, but it makes some sense as it pressurizes black's king side a little bit. Maybe the bishop that white hasn't developed yet can come flying out to pin the black knight. That's where it aims at the black knight. So Jordan stops that move from happening. Both players seem to know what they're doing here. They're not surprised. I mean, I guess it's hard to surprise a surpriser.
Absolutely. But I have to say, White's opening choice is actually something that is American grandmasters Hikaru Nakamura's favorite. He tends to play this when he's playing online games. And, well, we see a trade of dark square bishops. And there on the right, you can see a bar. And if a certain color dominates that bar, it means that either white or black is winning. And also, we do see some hearts there, which are indicating the heart rates of the players. They're not in love.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but we doubt it. And you can see that Ricard's heart rate is very high there. It's 149. And maybe he's getting excited about this push on the king side that he made, opening up that area of the board. And I must say, I'd rather be on the white side of this. It seems like white has more attacking chances. There's exchange in the center, and this will give white more pawns in the center of the board. And look at that open file that white has for his rook. You see the rook next to the king. It's lined up. There's nothing in the way of that rook against black's knight. So I'm certainly a little bit favoring white's position, as maybe the evaluation bar is as well.
I'm really liking Ricard's position. You know, like you say, he has an open line. He has a big square for a knight to jump into the f5 square and attack the black queen. And there you go. He just dives in. And once again, Ricard's heart rate, 143, and it's early days. The players are not stressed because of the clock. They're just excited.
And you can see that with the last move, Jordan was trying to exchange queens. Here it comes, but I don't think Ricard's going to go for the exchange. He keeps the queen on the board because it's a very powerful attacking piece. And I think it's going to be white who's going to start this attack. He gets his rook out of the pin and wait for that white knight to come in. The white knight will fly in. I must admit, Ricard is one of my favourite players in the world. He always has been. I love the way he attacks. I love the way he plays. He always goes for the win, and he always comes up with the unexpected, as Ivanka has said. He's now bringing the other knight around, and here he's got
an interesting choice. Is he going to go for the trade of queens, or was he going to give up a pawn, and he decides actually he made a mistake and retreated the knight to where it came from?
Yeah, Jordan has played this very well. He's got a very secure position on the king side. Black's knights are finding some very nice squares as well, but look at that white knight straight into a beautiful square. On the other hand, black moves his knight into quite an uncompromising position there, and it's building up as we speak. They're both playing quite quickly though, aren't they?
They are, and I love the way that Jordan has played it, and also put his knight there on a beautiful post, saying to Ricard, anything you can do, I can do better. And we see Ricard actually retreat his knight, and whoa, Jordan also lining up his rook on a semi-open line. This game is so tense.
I find these positions so hard to play. Knights are the trickiest pieces. They jump around, jump up, and get down. And you never know where they're going to go. And they're just dancing around on the right, on the left. They're trying to find weaknesses. They're trying to find squares to come into. But this move I thought was forced. And now the queens were exchanged. Jordan is probably feeling even happier. But I still quite like White's position because he has more pawns in the center, and there's a couple of weak black pawns, that one on the left-hand side. And look at that move. That's a very ambitious move there.
Yeah, but I do feel that Ricard perhaps let things slide a little bit with that knight attack on the rook, because that knight was doing a great job at holding the rook at bay. And if we do quick maths, a knight is worth 3, a rook is worth 5, then only white is going to be better in this position.
Yes, and that with that knight on the left-hand side, it's tied up black's rook. Look at black's rook on the left on that light square. It can't go backwards because the knight will take it. It can only move to one square. So at the moment, it's really just paralyzed, and this could be a major problem if white can open up some lines, and white's going to do that very shortly. He's pushing his pawns to try and open up lines. On the other hand, Jordan has exchanged off that dangerous knight. That was a very clever maneuver there, and maybe now Jordan should be quite happy with his position.
I think Jordan is going to be delighted with his position. Take a look at his rook in the middle. It's bearing down, looking at one of white's pawns, and then black's knight is also getting ready to spring in and attack it as well. Oh, and White's knight. That was White's pride and joy. It's going to get kicked back.
And look at the heart rate of Ricard. It's gone up to nearly 160. And I think this pawn push he played has actually created some horrible weaknesses. And I think Ricard is realizing that he has some big weaknesses in the middle of the board. And can he defend his pawns? I'm not sure he can. And this is going very wrong for him. And he's now played a bit of a sacrifice. But he will get the piece up by using a fork. And he's trying to complicate the situation, because this is a good thing to do when you're in a bad position, make complications. But Jordan looking very good at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. He wants to take Jordan into that deep, dark forest.
Deep dark fan forest.
Yes.
I think he has. He's taken Jordan into a deep, dark forest, but Jordan has got his torch and he's found his way out very quickly there. And another pawn in the middle is about to drop. This one that the rook is now attacking. So you're going to have to defend so well here, White is, to have any chances of holding this position. And we're getting to the end game now. Lots of pieces getting exchanged off. Remember, you have the opening, the middle game, and the end game. And the end game is often where things are decided. Who has the most pawns in the ending? That will be a very important factor. And I like this move, Ivanka. Black not rushing at all, improving his king for the ending.
He is. I mean, he's really just taking his time. But I actually think he let Ricard off the hook a bit, because he did not expect this move, c4. Just suddenly the two rooks are coordinating to defend White's weakness.
Yeah, and Richard now has some better chances. He's played this very well. He's managed to not lose that pawn in the middle of the board and to activate his rooks somewhat. He's got to get that king into the middle. He still could be losing a pawn here, because you see with that last move, the black rook is aiming at White's pawn, and he might better take it. But also look at the time, 30 seconds for Ricard against 45 seconds. Keep an eye on the clock. It's such an important factor of Armageddon.
Yeah, now it's time to do something before White solidifies the position by bringing in the king. And Ricard is consolidating the defense of the d-pawn. Jordan still a pawn up, but Ricard actually getting some compensation. His pieces have a lot of pressure down that b-pawn.
Yeah, you can see the white rooks are lined up, but Ricard can't really do much, and he's just shuffling backwards and forwards, and that black king is running into the middle. Go, Forest! Run, Forest! Run! Run! Run, Forest!
But
he's coming straight into the middle.
Don't forget that two can play that game, and suddenly is Ricard's king also trying to make a dash for the right side.
Yeah, so the white king is trying to get over to the right side to find some weaknesses. On the other hand, Black has now got his rook around the back. And let's remember, Jordan is one pawn up here, and in the ending, I say that and he's lost the pawn. I know another one's dropping, he's still a pawn up, and the white king, to me, looks so exposed now. The white king, both of the black rooks are going to be able to attack it very quickly, and this is looking so bad for White at the moment.
And White only has 5 seconds left. Ooh. And you can see Jordan is just hunting down that king, and Ricard, seconds to spare, just dashes out with that h-pawn, tries to create some breathing space for the king. Can he survive it? It's going to be a question of nerves.
And it looks like Black is going to be just too many pawns up. He's going for checkmate. He's trying to trap the king here. If a black rook checks the white king, it'll be the end of the game. And I don't know if it can be stopped, and he's resigned. White has resigned. It's a win for Jordan van Forest, and a very exciting game. And I must say that Jordan played so well in that game. I mean, he just played quickly, confidently, and he didn't really make any mistakes, did he?
Yeah, I mean, if you felt like Ricard had some pressure there in the middle stages of the game, but it was all down to the poison in Jordan's counter-attack. And woof, that was quite the exciting start. It's what we expected from these creative players, and there you see the accuracy from Jordan. When the king is in trouble, you try to trade off queens, and there Richard actually admitting that he made a mistake and using the knight to blockade.
That's right, and that was a very important part of the game because the black queen took a hold on some squares, and it's around here, that last pawn move from Ricard, I think that was where things started to go really wrong. Remember, when you move pawns, they're the only piece in the game you can't move backwards, so you're kind of committed when you move them forwards, and it's kind of like a building. You have the structures of a building, and if you take a brick out of that building, it can start to wobble, a bit like me on some past Friday nights, I believe. So you've got to be very careful moving pawns. And the end part of the game, well, this was purely just brilliant, wasn't it, this end?
Magnificent. And the way that Jordan spots that white's king is in a mating net, and there you go. There's nothing to be done. That king is going to get checkmated.
Yeah, the black rook is just going to come out and check the king at the end there, and the white king was trapped on the side. But, as always, there is another chance, and it's going to be tough because Ricard now has the black pieces, but he's very capable of winning with black. He's had some brilliant victories over nearly, well, all the top players in the world at some point, so I'm very excited about this in a must-win situation. What will he play? Something crazy, I expect.
Yeah, something tense, something offbeat, and something to keep all the pieces on the board. And has been done before. Will Ricard be able to hold his nerve and win the game with the black pieces? For Jordan, it's all about just holding your nerves.
And they're only 20 seconds away now. Jordan looks very calm. He did have the lower heart rate. Remember, that seemed to be quite an important factor. It must be so nervous getting in here, playing for the big money, playing in this very quick format where, you know, if you make one mistake, you could be out of the competition. It is double elimination, so we're not at that point yet. But now Ricard must win with the black pieces.
That's right, and he goes for the grandmaster favorite when you're in a must-win situation.
Oh, I know this.
Is he gonna...
The black lion.
Oh.
He's roaring like the black lion. This is one of my favorite openings. Oh, my words. You absolute lunatic, Ricard. He's castled. He could have tried pushing the Gary pawn up the board, but this is a much safer way of playing the position, just trying to keep everything, all the pieces on the board here, which he needs to do. You've got to win the game, don't exchange pieces. That's a golden rule.
But take a look at the way that Jordan has handled this. He doesn't seem to be at all faced by Ricard's opening, and instead, you know, just bashing out the moves, seizing space. But a big decision now. Does he capture the pawn? Does he step back with the bishop? And he chooses to step back, and take a look at the heart rates. It's now Jordan who's the first to step into the danger zone.
Welcome to the danger zone. And Jordan is getting a little bit nervous because he realizes that as long as he avoids losing, he is through to the next round. And I must admit, I quite like Richard's position. Richard is a pawn down. He seems not to enjoy having pawns, but he has good compensation. He moves his rook behind the queen. If you look at that open line where the black rook and queen are placed, he has pressure against white's pawn, but this is a great move. Black's got a very loose pawn on the left-hand side of the board. I kind of underestimated that, actually. And with that last move, if black now goes and takes the pawn, black's going to lose that pawn on the left-hand side, so he can't really do that.
Definitely some nifty footwork there from Jordan. And, Ricard's last move did attack the central pawn, and that's why Jordan did retreat the knights to defend it. But still, very tense position. Both parties just simply defending their weaknesses. And whoa, what is this?
Sounded like Santa then.
Thank you. The queen coming to the edge of the board, piling on a pawn. And look at Ricard, he says, I ain't afraid of that. And simply steps up with the rook.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And he has to defend this pawn though, Ricard. That pawn, the white queen, came and attacked the pawn in front of white's queen. If black loses that pawn, it's going to be really hard because white's pawn is so far advanced. And we see now Jordan just trying to make some exchanges in the position. But the bar, the evaluation bar, it's gone.
It certainly has. You see that black has there's more colour in black's side, and there you can see that the bar thinks that black is slightly better, and now it's readjusting itself. But it feels like it's a wild position now. What is Jordan going to do?
I think Jordan he didn't see this move. I think he assumed he could now take the pawn with his bishop, which he can't, because if the white bishop takes the pawn, black's queen will take white's knight, which is currently defended by that bishop, and all of a sudden black's queen has infiltrated into the enemy territory, and it's causing a lot of trouble. So now Jordan goes back and he's defending now.
No, but he blundered a second pawn.
Wow.
They always say that mistakes come in pairs, and this is it. Well, Jordan has to bank on the strength of his dark squared bishop, which is bearing down on the a7 pawn. If that can give him compensation for 2 pawns, then okay, he can hold the balance. But it's going to be an uphill struggle.
He's done a great job, Ricard, so far to get in this situation of being a pawn up. And I think if it was his move, he would push the pawn in the center of the board. Is he going to do that now? I would be very tempted. He is. And this is a great way to get rid of a pawn which looks like a bit of a weakness, but now becomes a strength. He's trying to release the black rook behind that pawn, a bit like a cannon. And he can now even push that pawn again, but then the white knight would come in. But the evaluation bar is massively in Ricard's favour.
He can just simply capture that pawn with his... No, he can't. I was going to say with his knight, but that would be a mistake. Oh, he goes for that pawn move anyhow. And he says, look, it's not a problem. So, big question. What is going to happen once white captures the pawn in the middle of the board?
Well, I think black's idea is to take the bishop, and we're going to see. Look at this. We have chaos. Boom, boom, boom. Exchanges are happening everywhere here. And this is a crazy position, but it should be favouring black because the 2 minor pieces, the knight and the bishop, outweigh the rook. They are 3 points each. They come to 6 points. A rook is 5 points. And that knight is in such a beautiful square there. Could we be seeing our first Armageddon of this European and African series?
It really looks like a serious possibility. I mean, just take a look at... Oh, and that's it.
That is a killer. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is a killer move. That's what we call a fork. The hardest moves in chess are supposed to be backwards knight moves. And we have Jordan resigning that position, bringing us to Armageddon. And what a move that was. That last move, forking, attacking 2 pieces there.
Exactly. That was one very clever knight there. Oof. Well, Ricard managing to win in a must-win situation with the black pieces. Not an easy feat. I have to say, hats off to him. Perfect opening choice, and it just seemed that Jordan was nervous at the end.
You're going to get nervous in this time thing. I mean, imagine, you know, you're playing for so much. Every move counts, as we know at this standard. You can't make mistakes, and Ricard plays this very risky setup at the start of the game. But the idea of this is to just keep the pieces on the board, keep tension in the position, and give yourself some very exciting chances later on. And that's what he needed to do. He had to take chances. He had to risk it. And we now got an Armageddon game on our hands, which is going to be fascinating.
It's going to be wild, Simon. And here we see the moment where Jordan made his second blunder. This is what sealed his fate. He blundered a second pawn, and well, from here, Ricard is relentless.
Definitely, and he played brilliantly after that. I mean, he combined that break in the centre, which I think we're going to see with this beautiful tactic where pieces were just getting chopped off the board. You know, like the Van Forest was getting chopped down there. All the pieces were getting cut with a chainsaw, the Ricard chainsaw. And in the end, it was this move coming up in a second, which was the killer, Jovanka.
Yeah, that was just a very unfortunate blunder there from Jordan because... Well, Ricard is able to retreat the knight. Those moves are very difficult. And suddenly that knight is looking at 2 white rooks. And there you see the smile. Jordan knows it's completely lost, and well, he will need to compose himself because we are in for a treat. It's gonna be Armageddon in less than a minute.
I love myself a bit of Armageddon.
Me too.
I mean, so exciting. I mean, let's just remind everyone some of the things that we need to bear in mind with Armageddon. I mean, first of all, White now has to win. It's only one game. White has to win. If it's a draw or Black wins, the player of the black pieces goes through to the next round. And the other thing is you have a time limit where White has a bit more time.
White has five
a bit
minutes.
less time, should I say?
Five minutes.
But
Black has 4 minutes.
a bit more time. I got that
Yes.
right. Yes.
Yes.
And but you don't get increments, so you don't get any time added on with each move you play. And I love Armageddon because the studio looks so beautiful.
I know.
They black it out.
They completely black it out. The suspense is building. Here it's going to be about who can move the fastest, who can play some very cunning, simple chess. And there you can see handshake, and Jordan has the white pieces. And, well, Richard has spotted a winning formula. Why repeat something that works so well?
It's slightly different, though, because in this variation, we have a very sharp line here. They're both banging out their moves very quickly. This is all theory. I think I've actually covered this before. I played this, recommended this line with the black side. It's different, though, because the queens have been early exchanged off. But that's normally a good sign for the player who wants to get the draw, because if you want to get the draw, you want to get pieces off the board. But it's in this situation, the pieces are very fluid. I would now say that White has the better pawn structure. I like having pawns in the center of the board, but Black has the two bishops, and Black has open lines to attack in the middle of the board. So far, all kind of fairly even.
Yeah, and Black did have the bishop pair. Richard promptly exchanged the light squared bishop, and ooh, we can see that Jordan centralizing his king and also retreating the bishop so that it points at the a7 pawn. I'm really liking Jordan's position, and bearing in mind he has a 1 minute lead, it is possible for him to grind this one out.
Yeah, I'm not sure about his last move though, Jordan, because now Black gets a grip of a square, but look at White's pawns. This is the one benefit of White's position. His pawns are very fluid, and he's now won a pawn, okay, but I don't know again if that was, it seems a bit odd. Black probably has to castle his king. The heart rates, they're both quite high. This is something very unique for our Armageddon series. We keep an eye on just how nervous the players are getting, because it is very scary being in that arena. Trust me, gladiators of the mind there. The king gets out of the way of the rook, and they're both moving very quickly as well here. Time is so important in this Armageddon one game only match.
Yeah, and well, Jordan did have a few weak pawns, and that's why he's pushed his d-pawn up the board. But suddenly, Richard has centralized his pieces. They all stand very well. It's very difficult to see any form of advantage for Jordan. And remember, Jordan is in a must-win situation.
That's right, and it does. I totally agree with you, Vanka. More pieces getting exchanged, and let's remember, if the nearer you get to the end game with equal material, generally the nearer to a draw you get, because the one player won't have enough pieces to win the game. As simple as that. And Black only needs the draw, so Jordan's got to keep trying to pressurize the position. And this last move, the evaluation bar does not like, and Black now tries to activate his rook. Rooks are so important in the end game. This is one of the most important things to remember. Get your rooks active. Even if it costs you a pawn, sometimes getting your rook into your opponent's position is the key factor. More pawns get exchanged. The Black king improves its position there as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, it is looking very solid for Richard, and he's got good line for the rook. The bishops might get traded off. It's not in Jordan's interest to allow it. Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Blunder.
Oh, you can see that, the reaction on Jordan's face. He realizes that he might have blundered a piece there. That white bishop in the middle of the board, it's pinned down. Is there anything that can be done? He's going for some tactics. Maybe he's found a way back into it. He's checked the Black king, and oh my words, I think he's survived this. Richard rushed that last move, and he didn't need to do that. Where does he put the king? This is actually now, I don't know, it's got complicated all of a sudden, because if you move the king here, this check is the key check.
But remember,
but you only need a draw.
Yeah, you only need a draw. So, but this was very important that Jordan could step back with the rook and defend the bishop. And now Richard giving a check, and now the knight is going to retreat or gives a check again. But remember that king has to maintain contact with the bishop. Maybe this is enough to actually force the draw.
Well, the king's got to attack the knight here, and if they repeat the position 3 times, it is a draw, and that means that Jordan has to go into this ending where it's equal material, but generally the bishop is better than the knight. Why is the bishop better than the knight? Because you have pawns on both sides of the board. The bishop is a long-range piece. It can act on both sides straight away, but the knight is a short-range piece, so it can only work in one area of the board. And you can see that black is now going to win a pawn. This is looking very, very promising for Richard at the moment. He's a pawn up. If he keeps his cool, he will be okay, but he's getting quite short of time here.
He is, and take a look at the maneuvering that Jordan has done. He's actually... Oh my goodness me. It's a race. We're off to the races, and unfortunately black is winning, and you can see the shake of the head. Oh, Richard nodding there. He's worked it all out. It's a win for him. He will queen faster, and that's why Jordan could not grab that bishop with the knight.
I love that, though. One player was shaking, the other one was nodding. We're clear, and we have a result. We know now that Richard, brilliant, won that game with the black pieces. He wins 2 games in a row to go through to the next round. He must be feeling so happy after going 1 down at the start there, Jovanka, and yeah, pretty devastating for Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, it really was heartbreaking game, but what a wild ride the players have had. Well, just amazing so far. I mean, first Armageddon as well, and it all came down to some blunders.
Yeah, it did indeed. I mean, this tension was so high. I mean, we'll have a look how high Richard's heart rate got. I think it got to like 165, so the same kind of pace as running. And we get to the end part of the game now, and we can see that here there was a big moment. The rook pins that bishop down. That means the white bishop is pinned. It can't move because the white king will be going into check. Jordan did brilliantly to get any chances after that, but it wasn't quite enough. Richard just kept his cool a lot better.
Yeah, and here we saw some great defending from Jordan. He's managing to save his extra piece, and it looked like here Richard was about to lose control, maybe even grant the advantage to white, but it wasn't quite enough to actually win the game for Jordan.
No, I mean, I think that was a bit of a rush move there, but it worked out okay for black in the end. And let's have a look at the final moments. The problem here, this is the final move. Black is a pawn up, white needs to win, and that pawn is going to become a queen, or white is going to lose the knight. There's no way that Jordan can win that game. So it was, yeah, just a very nice ending there from black, and black did a brilliant job of doing and going through to the next round. Well, it was tense, that one.
It was.
We got our first Armageddon as well. Whoa, so, but anyway, we do, I think very shortly we're going to have our normal interviews and hear how things are getting on, and we have our first interview with the loser there, Jordan. So.
Hi, Jordan. First Armageddon didn't work that well. How do you feel?
Yeah, it was a pity, but it was a fun match. I think I messed it up in the second blitz game when I mean, with white you shouldn't be losing, and then in Armageddon anything can happen, but it's a pity to lose, of course, but it was a fun match.
How did you feel after the first game that you won?
Pretty good, but there was not much time to enjoy because the second game basically started straight away, yeah, so...
Was there any specific moment that you felt, oh, no, I'm going to lose in the second game?
Only at the very end I missed his knight fork on my rooks, and then I realized it was over, so only at the very last move.
If there's one word to sum up the match, what would it be?
Tense?
Okay, then one question still. You are from a big chess family. What are you guys doing when you're all together?
I would say we only get together at dinners when we're home, so we don't do too much together, unfortunately. But I think that's also because we're never really together. So the last time we were all together, we actually went out to dinner for restaurants.
Okay, thank you so much and best of luck in your next game. Back to the studio to Jovanka and Simon.
Thank you very much, Sonia. And it is our greatest pleasure to have Richard Rapport with us in the studio and talk us through that whole match because, of course, game one started with you losing.
Yeah, I didn't start well. No, actually, I think to summarize the match, it was one of the worst blitz chess I think any of us has played, which is, not high quality for me anyway, because it's blitz and, well, I know myself too well. I felt like the games were we were both very nervous probably, I think, because of the atmosphere. It's very new, not very often you have, makeup and these lights and everything, done to you. So yeah, I felt like the first game was just horrible from my part. And then kind of desperate to come back, I, took some desperate decisions, and then it was very bad from his part. So like we kind of were a tandem in this way, I think.
Yeah, it's very scary being in that environment with the lights and everything else, and we can see that your heart rate, understandably, it went up to 171 there. So it's scary feeling, huh?
Yeah, I was going for a record actually.
180 something is our record.
Yeah, I have another day at least to try.
Next time you could break the record. But you got through, so that's the most important thing. And now you can relax a little bit. How do you relax in between?
Well, in between the games, of course, it's very tense. But other than that, my whole day is free. So, and since it's blitz chess, I don't particularly believe preparation would help much. So I just enjoy Berlin with my wife. I'm here with Jovana, so having a very nice time so far. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you didn't do that much preparation. So, are you sure? You're not practicing over the chessboard?
I mean, look at the games. Yeah, come on. It's very insulting if you think I did. Yeah.
So you have one day off. I mean, how will you enjoy Berlin?
It's very nice. I've played actually. I stayed in the same hotel, same playing hall, same area. Everything was the same in the Grand Prix in last year. So I really liked it then as well. It was shorter than I have hoped, but now already longer than I expected. So I'm having fun.
Yeah. And talk us actually through the emotions of Armageddon, because this is the one thing that we really love about this tournament.
Yeah, actually for me the Armageddon game was the calmest problem. Maybe my heart rate tells otherwise, I don't know, but it felt like, you got used to it. For me this first two blitz games, I mean first one especially because it was kind of a wake-up call, but it was kind of, out of shock. Yeah, I'm here a whole day waiting for, to start, and we start, and then it's 3+2 right away. Such an important game, right away I'm playing extremely badly. So this was kind of a new experience, not in a good way. The Armageddon one was something that I'm already familiar with, so more or less the same stuff, yeah.
Hopefully it'll be a bit more relaxed now because you've done the hardest, you've done the first one, so it's going to be exciting. Have you got any other ways you're going to prepare? Just relax, not look at any chess, or will you play some blitz or anything?
Well, that's the plan. I believe actually that there is some quote which is like that if you have studied the whole year very carefully, then in the day of the exam there is no surprises, So I try to pretend that this quote implies to me as well, and that I have worked so hard, that now it's too late, yeah.
Have you worked so hard?
Well, we'll see. Probably not hard enough. Yeah.
Beautiful quote. Yeah. I think I might steal that one from you, Richard.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. And just quickly, let's have a look at the brackets, because you'll be facing the winner between Matthias Blubaum or Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. I mean, which player do you prefer, or do you have a good track record against?
Well, yeah, I probably would clearly prefer Matthias. But I mean, it's blitz chess, so I would say I prefer him. He comes, he beats me in 5 minutes to 0, and then I will end up really stupid. So I don't know. They are both, very strong. Okay, Maxim was a world champion in blitz, so obviously he has some more accolades to his name.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the studio, and once again, congratulations on winning your match.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And time to mention one of our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, a profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, official online ratings and titles, all recognized by the International Chess Federation. There's prize money tournaments and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
Yeah, and we're getting ready very shortly for the second match of the day. And here is the lineup. We have Mateusz Blubaum versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And this is going to be one hell of a match as well. We don't get much room to breathe here. We're straight into the action. And let's have a look at the player profiles.
And here we have Mateusz Blubaum. He's the second strongest chess player in Germany. Also won the European Championship in 2022 and winner of the Armageddon online qualifier. Became a grandmaster at 18 years old. But let's hear more about Mateusz in his own words.
My name is Mateusz Blubaum. I'm from Germany. I'm 26 years old. I started playing when I was 6 years old, and my father and my older sisters were playing chess, so that's how I got into chess. Everyone likes to do what they are kind of decent at, so I just enjoyed playing chess, and it was always going kind of decently. Actually, took very long time till I considered doing it professionally. It was never really an option when I was growing up. I just basically stumbled into it. I got better, and at some point I started to feel like I can at least try to do it professionally. I'm usually doing quite well when there's something at stake, but even though I'm very nervous usually, but somehow I manage to very oftentimes get the needed result if there's something at stake, but I'm not sure if it's a special skill or just luck. I don't know. When I became European champion, I was happy, but it's always like you're happy for like 2-3 hours and then you realize, okay, life goes on, it's not changing too much.
Very
if I'd
calm.
won the European Championships, I'd be celebrating more than 2-3 hours, 2-3 weeks, I think. But his opponent is the very strong and charismatic Frenchman, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who's been a brilliant player throughout his life, became a grandmaster at 14 years old. His blitz rating is 27.39, but he's also been a blitz world champion. In 2021, he won that coveted title against the best players in the world. He's been French champion. He's just won everything pretty much except for the big World Championships title. But what a player he is. And let's hear more about Maxime in his own words.
I'm Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. I'm from Paris, France. I've been a chess player since I'm 5 years old, also World Blitz chess champion in 2021. I have a liking for mathematics as well. I actually pursued a degree. I still like mathematics, but I don't have as much time as I used to, and I really want to focus on my career. It's quite difficult to balance, but of course you can never reach absolute perfection in chess, so you're always pursuing improvement year after year. I have some memorable moments. I won in a tiebreak against Jan-Christophe Duda, who is actually playing here, and it was in Warsaw, so it's on country, so it was really intense. But of course, it's not the only one, and I hope there are many more to come as well.
Oh, well, this matchup is going to be intense. We have Mateusz Blubaum from Germany, number 2 player of Germany, and he has a very solid positional style, and he is up against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, one of the finest tacticians in the world. We are seconds away from this match happening.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and we talked about Mateusz having a positional style. Maxime is good at every area of the game, which you have to be when you're grandmaster, but he really is a wizard at tactics, and maybe that's something to do with the mathematics, working out formulas, working out calculations, as other chess players in history have been, like John Nunn, one of the earliest grandmasters to get into, I think it was Oxford University, and maybe there's a link there, but they're getting ready for kickoff, 5 seconds away, and we have Mateusz with the white pieces. Can he pressurize Maxime in this first game? We have the queen's pawn come up, and it looks like What opening will we have here? We have the collie system.
We do have the collie system, and this was designed to avoid the queen's gambit accepted, which arises if white pushes the c-pawn 2 squares. And Maxim actually deviating from his normal favorite, which is actually to play the Grunfeld. And well, we'll see how Maxim deals with the first surprise. And well, he reinforces the center and gets ready to develop the light square bishop.
Wow.
And well, out it comes anyhow.
I know this position very well, Jovanka. I've actually studied this quite a lot from the white side, done a course on this, and this bishop f5 is supposed to be a pretty good move. Fairly even position, actually, this variation.
It certainly is even, and you've got to be careful with where you put that light square bishop, and that's why Maxim moves it forward. But that bishop is going to get either exchanged or chased away.
And black playing very, very solid chess here. He creates this triangle in the middle of the board, and that's a really hard formation to break down. Maybe a bit mathematical there. A triangle in maths, well, I guess more in maybe physics, is a hard structure to break down. And we could see some exchanges here. White going for it on the king side there, pushing his pawns quite far up the board, and he's going maybe to attack the black king there. Could be heating up nicely.
It is heating up nicely, and you also have to remember, when you push your pawns so far up the board, you do leave behind weak squares. You have to remember the little line from Spider-Man, which says, with great space comes great responsibility.
Is that right? Okay, well,
No,
there we go.
actually, they use great power.
Great power. Yeah, I think I know that one. And the queen just slides over there to protect the pawn in front of it. And white can now just push those kingside pawns forwards. He can push the h pawn. The heart rates, we should talk about them. They're pretty stable. They're a lot lower than the last match. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is keeping his heart rate under 100. Seems really chilled out. And Mateus is having a very sensible heart rate there. I mean, are they a lot more calm than the last two players, do we think?
Well, they certainly are starting off calm. I mean, we have to say that Richard actually started around about 120, and that was already in game 1 from the beginning. But we did see Matthias actually confess that, yes, he does get extremely nervous in these moments of high tension, but somehow or other he's able to hold his nerve and play well. He called it his superpower.
His superpower. We could all do with a superpower like that, and it's a very unique situation here. White's pawn is like a little sort of scout there. It's scouted right into black's half of the position on the right hand side. But the good thing for Maxime is he's kind of blocked lines down, and that means he will probably be able to put his king over on the right hand side, castle the king, because you need open lines to attack your opponent's king. And even though white has this advanced pawn, it's kind of blocking his own pieces. It's getting in the way. So maybe Maxime could just castle here in this position. And no, he's deciding to maneuver his knight into the center first of all. Another very sensible idea there.
Love it. That knight is going places, primarily the e4 square. And I'm expecting white to actually do the same, because to take a look at those pieces on the left-hand side, the rook and the bishop, they're not in the game, and white needs to find a safe haven for the king. This is the problem with going on the aggressive so early on. And well, Matthias actually taking even more space and securing the h5 square, and here comes your move. The black king is in safety.
Yeah, there's 3 things you should aim to do at the start of the game when you're playing chess. You should aim to get some control of the center. It's like a battle. You need to control the center of the battlefield. The next thing, you need to get your troops into the battle. So you need to get your knights and bishops in. And then lastly, your king is your most precious piece, so you need to get your king safe. If you remember those 3 principles, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, and I don't like this last move by Matthias Bluebaum. I mean, it looks like a fairly harmless move. After all, it's getting ready to develop dark square bishop. But take a look at the consequences. There's now a c3 square that's up for grab. The black bishop can also come to the b4 square and line up against that knight sitting on d2. So Matthias in serious trouble here. And, well, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave actually jumping in with a knight, and Matthias, only 35 seconds to handle these very bad complications that are heading his way.
Nice move there from Maxime as well. The bishop attacking white's queen. You don't want to lose your queen. And look at black's rook. What you want to do with your rooks, you want to give them open lines. And that black rook has a beautiful open line down towards white's king. And the time for Matthias is going down. And Maxime just moves his queen. Maybe he's ready to push the pawn in front of it. He can bring his knight out next. And it's a tricky situation for Matthias. He gets his king safe, finally, onto the queen side. I say safe. I'm not sure how safe the white king is, because black has plenty chances to attack it later on. But first of all, Maxime just increasing the pressure on that open line, and the queen there could be in a bit of trouble as well. Those pawns on the left-hand side could also be in trouble. It's looking all one-way traffic at the moment.
It certainly is, and there goes one pawn. I'm expecting the second pawn to fall off the board, and there you go, attacking the queen. And Matthias, well, he has under 15 seconds. He's in survival mode. He has to initiate chaos somehow or another.
Okay, so in this position, the queen comes over, and black now takes the pawn there. White moves in the center, but black is 2 pawns up in this situation. So as long as Maxime can keep his cool, it's going to be very good for him. More exchanges. Who do exchanges favor? Exchanges should favor the side that has the extra material. The queen comes out giving a check there. It's not all over for white at the moment, but the evaluation bar actually thinks it is all over. But there's still pieces on the board to get some chances. But the time situation, have a look at the clock. Matthias has upped his pace here. He's got 20 seconds. Maxime's going a little bit slower. What he would love to do is get the queens off the board, try to swap the rooks off the board, and then those 2 extra pawns could just motor on down the board. And he's doing that. He's trying to get the queens exchanged. And what does Blue Bum do here? Does he exchange queens? He can't do that. He's got to keep the queens on the board. He goes for a rook exchange. Where's the queen going to go? It stays on the board here. And all that black needs to do is get those queens off, and the end game will be winning. Remember, in the end part of the game, you just want to promote your pawn. What that means is getting one of your pawns and moving it all the way to the other end of the board. What happens when the pawn gets the other end of the board? It can become a queen. That is a pawn's dream, to become a queen. And at the moment, they're both just playing more moves. Another exchange of rooks there.
It is another exchange of rooks, and you see Matthias manages to snatch 1 pawn there on the left-hand side, but all the action is happening on the right, and that pawn is going to come marching.
This is messy, though.
It is messy, and we see Maxime give a check. I mean, ooh, the hesitation as both players are under 15 seconds.
And Maxime could have taken a draw there, but of course he plays for the win. His queen defends his pawn, and now that pawn is only 2 squares from becoming a queen here. That pawn on the right-hand side, the H-pawn. White's trying to stop it from moving forwards. Maxime uses a check there, and now he goes for exchange of queens, and that white queen was stopping black's pawn from coming any further forwards.
Only 1 move. Oh, but it was to actually intercept that with the bishop. Okay, no, that pawn was gonna reach its destination, and that's why Matthias actually resigned. Great victory for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave.
Yeah, an important victory, and when you win with the black pieces, it counts a little bit more as well, because it's easier to play with white. You can kind of dictate how the game goes when you've got the white pieces, like having the serve in tennis. You can kind of decide what kind of position you want. But just a very good game from Maxime there,
yeah,
which we must expect from a previous world blitz champion. And well, it was around here that black's position just got better and better, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And pawns just started falling from the board for white. And Maxime, once again, here it got a little bit wild with Matthias activating the queen, but in the end, it was all about the H-pawn and how quickly it could reach the destination, the promotion square there on H1.
Yeah, the pawn was just too fast, and we were talking about how at the end part of the game you want to get your pawns to the other end of the board because they transform into a more powerful unit, and that's exactly what Maxime was able to do. And this was a brilliant idea. He blocks the white queen. If the black queen is captured, the white queen is captured, and then black's pawn is unstoppable. It's further up the board, and you can see there's no stopping it here. It's going to turn into a second queen, and that's why Matthias resigned in that position. Now,
Well, Matthias now does have that uphill task of winning with the black pieces, but we did see earlier on today that Richard Rapport also had that same objective, and he managed to turn the tables and win it and take it to Armageddon. But Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with the white pieces will be looking to steady the ship and play a very solid game.
yeah, it's not really Maxime's style to play too solid. He's a very tactical player. Of course, he can play solid chess very well. He's a great defender at the same time. I wouldn't like to be in Black's position here of having to win against one of the best players in the world with the black pieces. But let's see what he can do. Can he come up with a miracle, Matthias? Can he at least complicate the game and get himself some chances? Heart rate's gone right down. He's obviously very good at relaxing himself there, and they're off.
And there is an opening called the French defense. Oh, and the middle pawns get off the board. So Maxime saying, you know what? If I want to play solidly, I can.
Of course he can. He's one of the greatest players in the world. And this is what you do with the white pieces. You dictate how the game goes. That's the advantage. It's like, I want to play in this manner, I can force it. And he's bringing his pieces out. That last move looks quite risky because now the black pawn can move forwards and pin the bishop and the knight, and it just shows how tactically alert he is. That'd be a major blunder because white's bishop could take that pawn, relying on some very nice tactics there to get the kind of position he wants. Good opening choice, I'd say, going for this variation because you don't risk much, and that's something when you got the advantage you should aim to do. I don't know what black does here because the white knight is now threatening to take the pawn on the left-hand side. Remember, knights move like L shapes, two along, then one to the side. That's how we're taught. I mean, so sideways L's. They can go forwards, backwards, to the side. They're tricky pieces, and you can see already doesn't look very happy, Matthias, with his position at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't look happy, but okay, there are some traps lying ahead. He has to just develop the light squared bishop and protect that pawn. And Matthias is getting into a long think. What could he be considering? Only seems to be two plausible moves. Defend, develop. Just do not pick up that f-pawn as Simon has indicated.
Oh, Matthias is too strong to move that f-pawn, and it does look like he needs to move his only undeveloped minor piece, the bishop, to defend the pawn. He has done, but that is a miserable square for that bishop. It's trapped in behind its own pawns, and you kind of caged in one of your units, and you don't want to do that. You want your units, especially your bishops, to have lots of range. You don't put an archer into a bunker because he won't be able to do anything. You want to release the archer, release your sniper. So already I think white would be happy the way this is going. Maybe now white could consider bringing his other knight out. The one plan I can see that black has is to move one of those double pawns forwards one square. This is the plan that could release the bishop. Okay, just improving another piece there.
Yeah, and that's a very nice natural move. And Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has a very comfortable time advantage as well. Remember, this is such a fast time control. And Maxime retreating the knight, putting it on its perfect square and controlling that pawn break that Simon highlighted earlier.
And now white's bishop has to move. It is attacked. It has many squares it can move to. Black does have a little bit better development because the white knight is still sleeping on the left-hand side. But I think this is not so important because the black structure, black's pawns are a bit ugly. That bishop now trying to find a better way into the game. but the white knights are going to clamp down on that square in front of those double black pawns. They're aiming for that one, and this is nice positional stuff from Maxime at the moment. On the other hand, Matthias has got to go for white's king. Just go for it. Bring your pieces towards your enemy's king. Checkmate ends the game. Get the knight over. Get the queen over. Attack, attack, attack. This is the only chance here.
Yeah, and there we see Maxim trying to control some of those squares in the center, putting his knights on great posts. And, well, you gave the signal, Simon, and Matthias is listening. Look at those two bishops. They are bearing down on the right side of the board. So Maxim has to be tactically alert here.
But the white knights are just so beautifully placed. I mean, we have talked about the bishops quite a lot this show, how strong the bishops can be. But when the knights get into nice squares where they can't be kicked away, they can be more powerful from the bishops. And for my eyes, those knights look gorgeous there, especially the white knight in black's camp there, in black's half of the board. It controls many squares. And with the last move, white is getting ready to exchange all the rooks on that open line. The more pieces that get exchanged, the more nearer to the draw he gets, which helps him go through to the next round.
And there we see Matthias shaking his head. He's not happy with his position. Okay, we see a set of rooks leave the board. Queen is gonna move. I think it's time to take inspiration from that pawn advance on the left side of the board and start pushing the H pawn. But there we see Matthias starts to move his queen and rook there. I mean, what's he doing?
Well, I think he's trying to play on both sides of the board. He just can't get into Maxime's position. He's getting shorter time as well. He's under 30 seconds. So far in this game, he hasn't managed to get many chances to really get an advantage. Maxime keeping everything under control. And another very nice move there, just defending everything. The black knight coming back around, trying to find a better way into the game. But now maybe white, an aggressive move. I like that. Even though you need a draw, why not go for the win? Push the pawns forwards. The bishop now aims to exchange itself, getting ready to wipe off more material from the board. Still some chances here. It's still quite even, but Maxime not giving much away at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really actually liking the way that Matthias has played this, because look at those two knights. They might be sitting pretty, but one of them can get exchanged off. And hello, is there a pawn up for grabs now?
Wow, can black take this pawn? He has. It's getting exciting. Did Maxime just blunder a pawn and a central pawn? Are we going to have two Armageddons today? He goes a pawn up. And what's white going to do? He chases the queen. Where can the queen go? Dives into white's position. And all of a sudden, Matthias has got some chances here.
He certainly does have some chances, but he has to watch out for his queen. That queen is on shaky territory there. She could get trapped.
And look at the clock as well. Maxime has a big advantage on time. 52 seconds against only 13. So Matthias can't make any mistakes. He's got to play instantaneous now. The white pawn moving forwards, getting a little bit nearer to becoming queen. But let's remember, black is a pawn up. The evaluation bar, though, still likes Maxime's position here. Is his queen going to get in trouble there?
That's the vibe that I'm getting. I mean, take a look at the queen. She doesn't have too many squares even now. And Maxime, well, he's got full board vision. He's actually playing on both sides of the board. And, well, we see that Matthias, he is playing instinctively, just targeting the b3 pawn.
Yeah, Matthias is playing very well here.
But wait one second. What's happening here?
Well,
can you grab another pawn? Oh, no, he doesn't. He decides to retreat the knight. But that is a good move. Attacking the f4 pawn with check.
And he did that with seconds on the clock. They're both getting shorter time, but it looks like Matthias is doing an excellent job of getting back in the game. He's one pawn up, and he wins a second pawn. This must now be winning for black here. It's got to be winning for black. Can he keep his cool, though? The one chance that white has is that pawn on the left-hand side, and he pushes the pawn. Can he make that pawn a queen? It's 3 squares away from queening. It's got a long way to go, but it's only 1 square now. must be winning for black still.
It is looking like it's winning, but I tell you, it's not very easy to play when your rook is trapped in the corner like that. And again, Matthias, only 6 seconds left on the clock. Oh, big threat of rook coming to b8, and this is why Matthias was forced to advance that c-pawn.
Looking so good. White's pawn is his only hope here. On the other hand, black is being really annoying with all of his pieces, all in the centre. But hang on a minute. There's a big move there. It's a check. The black king has now got itself into a horrible situation because the white rook is going to come and check it. And it's turned around. Matthias has lost a very promising position at the end there. That's just how tricky Maxime Vacher-Lagrave is. He can flip the game in 1 second, being ex-Blitz world champion.
Yeah, and there we see the final score in the match. 2 points to Matthias, 0. Well, in the end, Maxime proving to us why he was the world Blitz champion in 2021. What a game. And again, the players entertaining us with this chaos when there's just seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, it was so... That kind of just jumped to life in the end part of the game. And you can see around here that black is able to grab a pawn. And this is when, all of a sudden, Maxime loses a bit of the control of the situation. And it got quicker and quicker from this moment on. I mean, I was struggling to keep up with who was doing better after this moment. But it seemed like Matthias was going to get it down to Armageddon at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's around about here that Maxime actually starts losing control. He's gave up another pawn, and Maxime has one asset in the position, and that's that passed A pawn, and he uses it well.
He did, yeah, and he used that. That was the winning pawn in the end. That little one, it was like a one soldier just running up the board, you know, without his mates, into the enemy half of the game. And this was the end part. I mean, look at that white pawn. It's gone as far as it can go. The black rook is blockading it, but with this next move coming up very shortly, you're going to break the blockade. The bishop guards the pawn, and the black rook now is going to come and check the black king, supported by the pawn, and there's nothing that black can do to stop it. So black resigns, black gives up in that situation, and well, it was a tense game, but 2-0 to Maxime in the end. So I think we are able to have an interview with the loser now, so we'll go over that.
We're here with Matthias Blübaum. Matthias, how do you feel about this game?
Yeah, pretty bad. I mean, I play terribly, so I don't know what to say.
Is there any word which you can describe this game for, or this match?
Like both matches, I played pretty disgustingly. I don't know. I mean, like the first game, I just played like a complete beginner and learned all my pawns. The second game, I played terrible from the opening, but I got some chances. Actually, I mean, maybe I was even winning, but okay, I'm just too bad at chess for that.
How did you prepare for this tournament?
Nothing special, to be honest. I mean, of course, I try to check some openings, but it's blitz chess, so like after a few moves, usually you get some completely random position you didn't expect. So yeah, I was just trying to be in shape.
Okay, and how do you like this tournament so far? I know you lost, but still, how do you like the format?
In general, I like the format. I mean, I like blitz, so I definitely enjoy the format, but of course, if you lose the first match, it's not so nice. Yeah?
Okay, thank you so much, and best of luck in the next game. We go back to the studio to Simon and Jovanka.
Yeah, normally I go 120.
So we're back in the studio now, and we have the winner of that match, and ex-Blitz world champion. So how did you find that? Do you want to talk us through the first game first, Maxime?
Yes, I didn't expect Matthias to go for this line, and so but I managed to go out well to close the center, and then suddenly his pawns on the king side were overexposed. I took care of those 2 pawns, and then it was a matter of a little bit shaky technique, but it's tough to play blitz after to play the first game, you know, to regain rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite a scary experience. Other players have said, sort of, you're thrown into this studio, the lights are there, and you just have to play. How did you find that?
No, that was okay. It just when, you know, at some point I like maybe a bit relaxed, and then I look at the clock and suddenly I don't feel that relaxed anymore, so I sped up a bit.
Well, talking about relaxed, we can actually see your highest heart rate was 122, which is pretty low considering you're under some stress. Do you have any secrets? Have you been training hard?
No, I don't have any secret. Actually, my heart rate is pretty high, at rest. But I already played a tournament in Isle of Man, actually, where I had this heart monitor, and I think I was going like up to 115, where some players were going to 160 or something. So
Okay.
I know that in the game, at least I can keep appearances of calmness, French.
Yeah.
French chilling.
French chilling. I like that. You look very relaxed there.
Yeah.
You seem very relaxed now. It's a good way to have it. So
Yeah.
the French chill. Is that what we
Exactly.
call it? Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay.
And talking about the French chill, talk us through your second game.
It went very well because it was my preparation, but then I let things slip out of control, and Matthias found a few good moves. Won a pawn that was a bit scary to take, of course, with his queen so much stuck, but then he managed to unentangle, win the second, the third pawn, but in the end, in the time scramble, my A pawn, well, it's the French Harry, yeah, because we don't
French
pronounce
Harry.
the H, so
Okay.
Yes.
So this is not the Harry pawn, it's the Harry pawn?
yes,
Or
the Harry.
Harry.
Yeah,
Okay,
like-
good.
Yeah.
I like it. The French Harry, and it did the job for you.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
So, yeah. So, an interesting experience, though, this one. This sort of being in the studio and everything.
For sure, no, it was a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable to play. I hope it's very enjoyable to witness as an audience and as spectators as well, as commentators.
Yeah. Well, sometimes spectators as well. I think it's fair to say that. We enjoy watching as well. And we can have a look now at the bracket and actually see who you're playing and where it stands. So we can see you're playing against...
Richie, yeah. Of course,
Richie.
I watched that match with Jordan. It was very close, hard-fought match. But of course, Richie is no beginner. I know him. I've played him many times, even this year. And yeah, I expect a great match. Of course, it's a bit of security that even if you lose, you're not going back home quite yet. You have a second chance. So this is quite nice. So the nerves might play a bigger role once you get that loss. Hopefully, I don't. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Just keep the French cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all you need. The French cool and the French Harry. And then you'll be all right.
Exactly.
And you will have a free day tomorrow. How do you intend on spending it? Are you prepared?
I know a little bit the area around here. I've played actually a FIDE Grand Prix last year, but also a few weekends of Bundesliga that were very nearby. So I've already had some experiences in the restaurants, and of course going to Brandenburg Gate as well. I don't know if I'll do any real sightseeing tomorrow. Maybe go to the zoo or something. I'll leave it to how well rested I feel and whatever I want to do, because maybe I'll put in some work as well.
Good. Well, we'll enjoy your free day. And,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And very exciting match there. We can, we can have a look now at some highlights, I think.
Yes, I think we can. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. And time to mention one of our partners. The official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series is IT.com Domains, a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
great day of chess again. I mean, no surprise there. We're getting many great days of chess, and we see an ex-world champion go through to the next round, which is just fascinating. And there's more great days of chess coming up. Right?
Absolutely. Every day is going to be a winner. And tomorrow it is going to be elimination day, as we are going to send some players home. First up, we have Michael Adams facing off against Alexander Donchenko. What's going to happen there? And then Jordan van Foreest is going to be facing off against Matthias Bluebaum. Ooh, what do you expect, Simon, from these encounters?
Wow. I don't know if it's a bit cruel, but I actually like the loser goes home day, which sounds a bit cruel, but they are even more pressurized because so far up to this point in the competition, of course, you get that second chance. It's a double elimination, but tomorrow they don't get a second chance. So if they lose, they go home. So it's going to be even more tense to watch. And I think I've got to be a little bit biased, haven't I? I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I wanted our fellow Englishman to do well tomorrow. No offence to his opponent, but you know, we've got to support the English legends, one of my heroes at least. But another exciting day of chess coming up then, and it was good today. We got that Armageddon in the first game. That was very exciting. Ricard playing brilliantly to get back into the game there.
Yeah, absolutely. And winning a clutch win with the black pieces against Jordan van Foreest, who in the first game had played some very impressive chess.
Yeah, it looked like Jordan was doing so well. But anyway, we'll see you all soon, and goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me too. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.